I do not want to lose you to what you may find in there.
Mualim, Assassin's Creed.
What could I possibly fear? Look at the power I command.
The final boss of the first game isn't one of the series' most memorable. Following the shocking revelation that Mualim is the villain all along, he betrays both the assassins and the fight is the most interesting part of the game, testing everything you've learned, and having you face off against your cloning mentor. It features multiple phases, broken up by philosophical monologues between the two characters. It all highlights how much Altair has developed throughout the game, and it makes for one of the most iconic endings in the series.
Impossible. The student does not defeat the teacher.
Carlo Grimaldi, Assassin's Creed 2.
Apologies, Signore. But you should have listened to me when you had the chance.
This game has its fair share of tediously challenging missions, but none stick out quite like the assassination of Carlo Grimaldi. The mission starts with you having to fly across the rooftops of Venice, using Da Vinci's magnificent flying machine. While it looks cool, it's quite painful to fly, and most players will find it takes multiple attempts to complete. When Ezio finally makes it to the rooftop of the Palazzo Ducale, taking out your target isn't particularly difficult. Grimaldi will run around the courtyard hysterically in circles, which is easy pickings for Ezio, a master assassin.
We kill thinking it's best for us. Do we not, Messer Ezio?
Cesare Borgia, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
You delude yourself, Cesare.
God!
Cesare is the primary antagonist of the game, and makes for an intense final boss fight. The final chase is one of the most beautiful moments in the series. Set during the Siege of Vienna, with Cesare leading an army he hopes will help him reclaim power. The real challenge of this boss fight is the chase prior, where you're constantly swarmed with soldiers and you must dodge cannonballs and vicious flames. By the end, you fight him on the city walls, which isn't a difficult fight to win if you're confident in combat. Still, in a game of relatively few bosses, it stands out as the toughest.
You cannot kill me! No man can murder me!
Then I leave you in the hands of fate.
Ahmet, Assassin's Creed Revelations.
You have been a thorn in my side.
Ezio's final game takes him to Constantinople, where he crosses paths with Prince Ahmet, a cunning member of the Ottoman dynasty. Like most antagonists in the series, he's a Templar, working against his family and trying to open Altair's library. After he kidnaps Sophia, Ezio must save her, in a long sequence where he's flying ridiculously behind a carriage. It's a very annoying sequence, and challenging in all the wrong ways. When you finally make it through this irritating chase, Ezio doesn't even get the final blow. Ahmet's brother Selim betrays him, casting him off a cliff in a relatively inconclusive manner.
So what now, Ezio? How does this end? I am wondering that myself.
Pitcairn, Assassin's Creed 3.
There is no time. I will have to chance a direct approach.
That's twice today you proposed the impossible.
The Battle of Bunker Hill is one of the most fun battle sequences in the game, concluding with the assassination of John Pitcairn. Usually, he's not a difficult man to assassinate. However, if you're going for full 100% synchronization, then he's a huge challenge. You have to air assassinate him without being detected. You can't kill more than 4 enemies, and you need to cross the battlefield without taking any damage. It takes loads of patience to pull off, and you don't gain much if you do. Achieving complete 100% synchronization unlocks a trophy and Altair's robes, which are purely cosmetic.
Why? Why did you do this?
To protect Adams and Hancock and those they serve, you meant to kill them.
El Impoluto, Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag.
All sail! What's he doing? She's coming straight!
There are 4 legendary ships in Black Flag in total, located at each corner of the map. Each one is massively difficult to beat, but El Impoluto is easily the hardest. You're going to need a fully upgraded ship to beat it, as it's got a monster health bar and some decimating weaponry. For example, its ram will take out a whole health bar in one hit. Surprisingly, you can cheese it by simply hopping across onto the ship instead of fighting it on the waves. Then, you can simply kill everyone on board, and with no one to sail it, the ship will be easy pickings. If you'd rather fight it properly, then you're in for the game's toughest challenge.
There they go! Down to the drink! Ready to boil, sir!
Pierre Bellec, Assassin's Creed Unity.
Only question is, what happens now?
You poisoned Mirabeau!
Bellec is initially Arno's ally, inviting him into the Brotherhood early on in the game. His extremist views and willingness to eliminate anyone cause him to deviate from the Creed's goals. It's a cinematic fight taking place in the phenomenally recreated Santee Chapel. His betrayal isn't rooted in greed, but in his stubborn belief in the Brotherhood's principles, making it emotionally impactful. Bellec is a skilled assassin, using many of the same techniques as Arno, making him a challenge to beat. It tests everything you've learned about the revamped Unity combat system, and stands out as one of the most well-written moments in the title. The Storm Fortress, Assassin's Creed Rogue. Rogue increased the number of legendary ships to 7, and the Storm Fortress is undoubtedly the hardest. It's heavily armored and equipped with devastating cannons and mortars. These include a powerful broadside and a mortar that sets its victims on fire. The ship easily dwarfs Shays, the Morrigan, and requires strategy and patience to defeat. This will test everything you've learned about the naval combat mechanics, challenging both your offense and defense. The stormy backdrop also adds to the difficulty, making it difficult to see and navigate. It gets even harder when you're low on health, since 2 more man-of-wars decide to join in, the Argonaut and the Scepter. Jack the Ripper, Assassin's Creed Syndicate. In the Syndicate DLC, Evie must take on Jack the Ripper, Victorian London's most notorious serial killer. This DLC is a particularly dark chapter in the series, deviating from its traditional Templar versus Assassins formula, and concluding with an iconic fight. The final confrontation takes place in a haunting asylum, and Evie facing him off in a harrowing underground arena. Stealth is essential to kill him, making for a fun fight since Syndicate has some of the best stealth in the series. It's substantially more fun than the game's actual final boss, Crawford, one of the silliest fights in the game.
Oh, Jack. You were an assassin, yes, but we are not the same. And that is why your memory must be erased for all time.
Qetesh and Resheph, Assassin's Creed Origins. There are a few war elephants available to fight in Origins, but the toughest is the duo of Qetesh and Resheph. Unlike most animal encounters, they're not mindless beasts. They're fully armed war machines with riders mounted on top, who will consistently be poking Bayek with arrows and bombs. They're a monstrous pair, who force you to be completely mobile to achieve victory. It's a massive deviation from the standard boss fights, where you need to sneakily assassinate a Templar from the shadows. Stealth is completely useless here. Victory will only be acquired through pure strength. Medusa, Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
The year? It's me, Chris.
There's a plethora of mythological figures in Odyssey, such as Hermes, Hades, Poseidon, and Medusa. She's the game's hardest mythological opponent, so don't try and fight her without the highest level gear you can get your hands on. Medusa is a level 50 boss, and will throw powerful level 50 mercenaries at you. Additionally, her attacks are super strong, with her constantly spamming laser beams at you, coming from not just her eyes, but also raining from the skies. To beat her, you'll have to strike the perfect balance between aggression and defense, pivoting between flurries of attacks and then hiding behind the pillars. Balor, Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
I have waited for you these many centuries, Fjolnir.
The Wrath of the Druids expansion takes players to Ireland, where they'll eventually have to face off against Balor, a beast from Irish mythology. He's a giant and the game's most formidable opponent. The fight takes place in a rainy arena, surrounded by fire, making it just as cinematic as it is challenging. He has a wide variety of attacks, like a teleport which lets him immediately close the distance between you. His sword is almost as tall as himself, with a ridiculous amount of reach, pushing Eivor to bring his A-game. With his immense health pool and devastating attacks, it's no surprise he's the toughest in Valhalla. Roshan, Assassin's Creed Mirage.
I warned you what would happen.
Mirage is a relatively short game compared to the trilogy that came before it, and only really has one proper boss in it, the final boss, Roshan. She was Basim's teacher until later on in the game when they find themselves opposed to one another. Compared to other entries on this list, it's not too challenging of a fight, but it is an emotional moment, since she's aware of what Basim will awaken if he enters the Isu temple beneath Alumet's castle. If the player has mastered the combat by now, then they'll make short work of Roshan. And Basim realizes he's Loki reincarnated, a twist anyone who finished Valhalla will already know, which could be how Roshan found out. Which boss did you struggle with the most? Let us know in the comments section.